Hello, thank you so much for coming to this Sashiko live streaming on Thursday night. Now I'll do Sashiko stitching while talking about Sashiko. This is not a lecture, this is not a webinar, so I will keep stitching and then I hope I can answer some of the questions, but please be reminded that I won't be able to offer any tutorials or how to. It's going to be just Sashiko story. Let's go. Hello. Alright, I have one announcement about Sashiko Gathering. Thanks to the one volunteer, Maiko-san, we had been offering the gathering online via Zoom, where we can stitch together and kind of interact each other instead of one-way direction like this one. Because of the health issue of her, we stopped doing that last month. And I have been wondering if I should or if I could somewhat continue that. And I decided to try again. I have done that before, but I kind of gave up before. And again, I will try to continue that. And this time, previously, thanks to Maiko-san, we used to offer that gathering for free of charge. We did not ask for any fees. But starting this month, I will ask certain fees for somebody who has not been with us. So if you are on the Patreon support page, you should be able to find the link on that. And if you are the graduate of any Sashiko workshop I offered, you should be receiving the emails if you were on the list by Maiko-san. If you are new to the Sashiko gathering and if you're a graduate of the Sashiko workshop, please give me the email so I can add you to the list. Everybody else, please check the givebutter.com on this description area. I believe that, yes. So it's about restarting Sashiko Gathering, and there's a link for that. If you could, I strongly appreciate you go to the Patreon because you can read about 150 articles, 160 articles there, and the pricing is the same or even cheaper there. It is not my intention to make money here. It's more like asking you to be a little serious, more serious to be there. So it does not matter where and how, just I want to make sure that I can control. There was a reason that I kind of stopped doing that a year ago. And unfortunately, Maiko-san had to stop that last month. So now I will restart it. But if you have been with us, you shouldn't be worrying about it. There shouldn't be any extra work for you to do. But if you're new, please check those description. All right, I think everything is good. I might log off a little bit sooner today. Oh, sound. Just let me check. Okay, that's good. Okay. Yet I might go offline a little bit earlier than usual today. So if you have any questions about anything, just let me know so I can talk about it while I'm doing stitching. Besides that, well, I talked about the monthly Sashiko gathering, which is coming next Thursday after this live streaming. Oops, I forgot to mention that. It is going to be next week after this live streaming. So I will finish the live streaming at 10 o'clock or so, and then we just jump to the gathering right after that. Okay. Should be good. I will change the camera. Snowy, huh? Hello, Sharon. Hello, Helen. Is it snowy? Yeah, it's today's a little cold. Here too. I had a little lecture on FIT, not on, in via FIT this afternoon, and I don't know if it was a good lecture. I prepared a little bit, but it was not enough time for me to talk about, and I got a little confused about the style. Was it a lecture, or was it a panel discussion, or talk? Talk can be a lot of interpretation, and I probably could have elaborated more presentation, but I end up with talking for 20 minutes, and we jumped onto the kind of questions and answers, but we can do it here as well. If you have any questions about those cultural perspective of Sashiko, I am happy to share here. Sakura. 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 Hello. Hello, hello. So today is 16th, and I should be able, I may not be actually able to do the live streaming at the end of this month. Well, I should be able to actually. Let's see, but next month I will be in Japan for 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm wondering if I can. I would like to do the live streaming from Japan, but I don't know if I can. So let's see how it's gonna be. It will be somewhat irregular. I might move the platform to the Instagram or the other places because it might be easier for me to do the live streaming. I don't bring all of this setting to Japan, so let's see how it's gonna go. But it's gonna be a little bit of different month, different environment for me to do live streaming. And the reason I'm stitching this one is for that. I gotta make the samples. And when I stitch this one, I will be quiet, so I have to use my brain. And it's a little bit of challenge. Sorry, just a second. Ah. There's gonna be a lot of pollen. I think it's pollen, but the Japanese have a very like a hay fever kind of things in Japan. We call it kafunsho. We react to those pollen from the any botanical existence, like flowers, trees, and stuff like that. According to them, it is one of the worst year in last 10 years, and I have not been back to Japan for the last 10 years, so I may have a very, very strong reaction to that, and that's very, very scary. I may be sneezing all the time, I may be crying all the time, scratching my eyes all the time. That must be one of those images that I have to broadcast from Japan. But yeah, the goal is to keep offering these live streaming or place to be, so we can keep stitching and doing. The key is to continue, and that's something I can do, we can do, and not many others can do. Where should I go? Where can I go? Ah. Sorry, that was somebody's notification. It has been very, very difficult for me to make videos in 2022 and 2023. You may be able to find out that I have not made any new videos on YouTube. I gotta find some time to do that. It all takes some time, and I have to, I like to focus on, doing Sashiko. So that is a little bit of challenging time to do it. I keep using the same videos to start this live streaming, which I really wish that I could have time to change that. I should be able to have more time in Japan as well. So I will take some videos about that. Like a list of things I would like to do, and almost, well, not none of them. 10% of those are not done yet at all. So it's really challenging. Some I may, if I were if I were the previous version of me, I would say it's not time to stitch. You shouldn't be stitching right now because you're too busy. But right now, I feel like if I stop stitching, none of the stories I do not carry the value. Plus, I like to have this moment as much as I can. So it's win-win. Just a bit of difficulties. This is a bad sample, so if you are gonna stitch this pattern, don't do this. I made millions of mistakes in terms of how to proceed this pattern. I should have, if I were doing it for more like commission work, I should really see the line first and then plan it first. It's like planning the trip before you start driving. Like I'm driving without a map, and I know the destination, but I don't know how to get there. Right now we have everything, right? Like we have Google Map or any other those apps, so we don't have to worry about losing. Like we will not be lost right now in this world as long as we have this smartphone. I don't know how many people remember this, but do you remember the website called MapQuest? And we used to print the directions out and then follow that MapQuest to get to the destination. Sashiko is kind of same like that. It's better to think about it first and then start stitching. When you stitch, you might want to focus on where you are instead of talking. Then you won't lose that much. This is Asanoha, but there's another patterns combined together. So it's really messy in the back side. It shouldn't be this messy. In the front side is Asanoha, so it's perfectly fine, but the back side shouldn't be this messy. But again, that's a sample. This is the sample, so it's okay. Like, don't do sample. Don't do like this. This is one part that I did not stitch at all, which shouldn't be the case. I wonder how I could do that though. One of the most important characteristic to be a good Sashiko artisan, like if one wants to be good at Sashiko, they have to learn how to be lazy. The perfectionism which I have as well, which I suffer from. Wait, I don't suffer from that, but again, the perfectionism can be a bit of challenge when it comes to that. Sashiko, there's no such a thing as perfect stitches. In fact, there's no such a thing as imperfect or perfect. It's just stitches. But when we focus on the result, we forget about the process, and then when we forget about process, we forget to be lazy. So it is very, very important to focus on being lazy. It does not sound good, but it does not sound natural, but it's really true. And I want you to be able to find a way that you can relax and be lazy. Let ourselves be lazy. Then it's gonna be better, Sashiko, after all of those trying. I wonder how many people are doing Sashiko in this world right now. There are quite many people who try, and they probably try and they start stitching. But my point is, how many people are continuously doing that? Anybody can be a Sashiko artist, Sashiko artisan, Sashiko artist, or Sashiko practitioner, whatever we call that. But the Sashiko artisans I trust are those who continue. It's not like a design or skill or even passion for that matter. The one who has been stitching for a long time always carry the answer, their answer, and I respect that answers. So it is very important to find somebody who has been stitching continuously and continue stitching for that matter, like not somebody who stopped stitching. I mean, I don't want that to be like they have to stitching, they have to keep stitching. It's more like they happen to continue stitching, and I think that's kind of true definition of Sashiko artisans or Sashiko teachers. They happen to be stitching even today or even after this. And no matter how much I study, no matter how much word I use, the truth is always in stitching, which means those who stitch always carry the answers and truth. But unfortunately, those truths does not come within a day or within a week or within a year, probably. They have to keep stitching. And I wonder how many people even continue to the point that they might get that. So the gathering, Sashiko gathering, is the sort of encouragement that I can offer to continue Sashiko. I really sincerely hope that they can continue. Those there are Sashiko teachers, Sashiko people who make a lot of word comments, publication, workshop. Those people, I don't know if they are like authentic or not, because some of them just started right now, or the others may have been doing that for a long time. But because we are in the big trend, anybody can be anything at this moment. I'm not worried about those artists or artisans who use the Sashiko for their work, because they will move on to the different trend when this trend ends. So I wonder how many people are gonna stitch, let's say in 10 years from now, when this trend is completely gone. I hope that some of the mindset, some of the ideas are gonna be still here. It's not like left preserved, more like, some are still practiced. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Yeah, for that, I am going to be the leading one to keep stitching. My goal is to keep the same way, to continue the same way possible. So when I say I'm busy, some people say that I should hire somebody to do what I do. That is very true. That's very true. If I'm busy that much, I should outsource some of the work that I don't have to do. However, then I may have to change my style to, to pay to them. I don't want to say like, my focus is not money, so wait for the, next salary. That's not a good way to do that. So I would like to keep the way it is, so I don't have to focus on something else but continuing that. So let's see how it's gonna go. But as long as I don't expand it too much, I should be able to continue the same way, to offer the same type of Sashiko with the same similar mindset people too. That's why I keep saying like this is kind of like the this is I am already at the destination. I wanted to make a space for Sashiko. I wanted to do stitching with many people, and I wanted to leave Sashiko behind. I wanted to pass it down somehow, and those goals are kind of achieved by now, thanks to you here. So it's kind of interesting that what I'm doing right now is more like extra. But I think those extra will be helpful at some point. I did not expect that I could do this early. But I'm not really worried about it too much. Sorry. I'm not worried about Sashiko too much. There are already people who received my message and my point. As long as they are there, the Sashiko we have been practicing will not be lost. It was this close though. It was pretty close to be lost. It was quite close. There are so many what if. There's so many what if, and if there's any, so there's so many what if, and even one missing what if, then this Sashiko may be lost. I tried to read as many books as possible about Sashiko, but there are no books explaining our Sashiko, because we, prohibited that. So it's, of course, there's not gonna be anything. So they try to keep it secret. and therefore they did not share any of those. As the result, this close that we could have lost everything. Not everything, but it is almost, I don't want to say impossible, but it's extremely difficult to revive it. I wouldn't say it's impossible because that's what many Japanese people did in 1960s and 1970s. They revived Sashiko, so it's not impossible to do it, but at the same time it is very time consuming and very energy consuming to revive something already lost. And probably people in today's world, today's society will not do that. It's too much work for too little return. Like, how many people are going to watch this live streaming throughout? I mean, many people are gonna watch as live, and they probably watch it every week. I really appreciate that. But let's say that this has been archived, and if somebody watches that throughout, that's really crazy. I wouldn't do that. I don't know how many hours of me stitching and talking on the YouTube, but it is not healthy to watch everything. So, but reviving means that we have to sort of focus on understanding what he in this case me, what he was trying to tell, trying to pass down. And it's easier right now because we have YouTubes and also internet. If they want to study about me, it's easy to find the archives. That's everything. That's the whole purpose of me doing this. But reviving it from documents or recorded videos, or even just documents or somebody's word, those can be a very, very tiring process. And I would like to avoid that if possible. The mission completed. I probably shouldn't say that, but that's how I honestly feel, that my mission, my most important mission is completed. I spoke up, I could tell, I could successfully pass down some of those knowledge I received. Not everything, but the most important things are already somebody's hand. So I'm not quitting. I'm not quitting. This sounds like I'm about to quit Sashiko, but I'm not quitting Sashiko. I'm just saying that there was a question about there was a question if IT from the professor if my goal by teaching Sashiko is to raise somebody who can be a professional Sashiko craftsman. And I don't know what is the definition of craftsman here, but I think that's the definition is those people who can make living by just doing that. My answer was I don't think so, because I am not even one of those who can make my living by just doing Sashiko. If I were the one who provide the family, I have to get a job. I have to find somewhat stable job, ideally to pay the insurance. So my mother Keiko is a great artist, but I don't think she can pay off all the bills if she stop dyeing the thread or even teaching for that matter. And I don't know artisans or any professional Sashiko stitchers who just make a living by doing that. They either sell their supplies or they teach, they publish books, or they're retired already. They don't have any, big expenses to, let's say, to support the family or to raise the child or something like that. So I don't know anybody who sustained their life. There might be somebody, but in different words, there's no such a thing as like a Sashiko millionaire. As long as I know, there's no such a people like that. So it is not really sustainable as the business or field to be professional, to make money or to be successful. And if that's the goal of one person, they probably will fail because they won't be able to continue doing that. When the goal is tangible things like money, fame, we tend to focus on the return. And return on investment is a very big concept when we do something like that. Sashiko has an extreme low return on investment. Here, probably the investment is the money. Not the money, I'm sorry, investment is the time. The result is return is not that. In different word, one has to like it. If they don't like it, they wouldn't be able to continue. If there's a different purpose besides just stitching for fun, I don't think they can continue doing that. So it is already unbalanced. It's not designed to be. Again, because of that, my goal is completed or achieved. Because we stitch together while talking or while watching something together, or while sharing the time together, and that's, I'm not too ambitious about that. That's all good. Just a second, okay? So this one is here. 2, 3. See, I stop talking when I have to think. I don't want to make mistakes again over another mistake, which I have been making, so it's like same as a lie. In Sashiko, if you make one mistake, you try to fix that, you try to make it okay by doing something unusual, and then that unusual things becomes another mistake. So once you make one mistake, then it's gonna be a series of mistakes. Unless, but there's nothing wrong with making mistakes, it just takes extra time to do that. Like same as lying, if we lie one thing, we have to make another lie to make lie more valid. And that's so memory consuming. I'm not smart enough to memorize all the lie I make. And sometimes lying is important, I guess. White lie, that's what we say, I guess. But I try to not to do that anymore because I cannot memorize everything. Since I share like one story per day, like almost, that's my intention to do that. But when I write that much, when I share that much, I have to be very careful to make my stories comprehensive. I don't want to say like one thing here and then tomorrow, next day, completely different thing. It's really not gonna make a lot of good trust. So it has to be comprehensive. In order to make it comprehensive, one has to be very smart to memorize everything they said, or completely honest so that they don't fake it. And I wish I was smart enough to do that, but unfortunately I'm not, so I decided to just I just decided to not to lie. So I may exaggerate at some point, I may make it more, but it's not like a lie for that. It's very difficult. Not difficult, it's impossible for me to do that. This might not be the fun live streaming because I'm moving lots of fabric and not stitching much. That's why I don't like this pattern. Am I stitching or just rotating the fabric? I sometimes don't know what I'm doing, so it's always good to have some space to stitch. This one, not so much. Well, this might be stitching for some of them, but this is not Sashiko in my understanding. Well, this can be, of course, Sashiko, but this is not the Sashiko I like. And I hope some of you here share the same feeling. But again, this is the sample. This is the sample, and some of you have to do that, probably. Let's go here. Just a second, okay, I have to probably, here it's good. Not have enough thread. Let's see how it's gonna go. Might not. Let's see how it's gonna go. I hope there's enough thread. Please. So this is the limit. This is the limit. This is the here. Okay. I hope this explains how easy it is that I do not every day, but in different live streaming, I do different patterns, and that is why that pattern is. I always stitch that pattern every time I do the live streaming. I don't have to focus on the patterns at all. I'm stitching Nowaki on a king size. Hey, yay. Hey, yay. Hey, yay. That's a lot of work. Hello Matthew, thank you so much. I am enjoying your chatting and watching this design. I agree your other patterns is more engaging, but I like to see how you are tackling this sampler. Thank you. This is not this is not answered. This is not my recommendation. So please, if you're gonna do this pattern, please think about it by yourself before you start. What is gonna be the easiest way to do it? I mean, you can of course copy what I'm doing and you can try the way I do it, but probably you will find a better way to do that. You know, you're smart. This is, I wouldn't do the same if I, well, if I'm gonna do one more, I will probably not gonna do it on in the live stream. The patch is 24:30, but still, well, I mean, yeah, okay. So that's gonna be that's doable. But still, that's a lot of. That's actually one of my goals. I will do the running stitch from both hand. Because I teach to the left-handed people, the student with the left hand, of course. So I can technically I can do the running stitch with this left hand as well. So technically speaking, I don't have to rotate the fabric. I can just switch it. And there are several artisans in my memory that they were doing the same thing. But I don't do that. I choose not to do it right now at this moment because of lack of practice. When I do that, I feel like there are a few people, two people at least, in the one project stitching together. It's like yeah, two personalities in one body can be a little bit of a problem. So I don't want that to happen. But that's kind of ideal though. If you can do it, if you can make both right hand and left hand as the same level, then that's a very good way to cut a lot of processes. Process. Can process be plural? Don't use this color too. I mean, this might be a pretty color, but this color on this fabric is a little bit of, this pattern might be a little bit confusing. Too many colors. I mean, result is gonna be good. Just, as advice. It is quite interesting to mix, like combine or mix the several geometric patterns. But again, one geometric patterns have usually an ideal way to stitch. By combining that ideal is not always the answer. And that's one reasons to make it more difficult. Or not even difficult, more time consuming. If you don't mind taking the detour, then this is probably not a big deal. It's like doing the maze. But again, as Matthew said, that is very rewarding to see the result. It's more fun to see this kind of result. Asanoha can be boring from the result perspective, as I do not really care about the result. I don't pay attention to the result. I don't even sometimes look at the result. I just move on to the next project. So Asanoha is a very good pattern to stitch, but if the result is important, then this kind of patterns might be very rewarding for that. Yeah, try the both hand stitching. That might be somebody's answer. At least it was not my answer, but I. Ah. I hope I can go back to the Asanoha pattern sometimes later this month before I go back to Japan. I don't know if I can. There might be another sample that I have to make. But let's see. Why are you not playing the thread all of its length and leaving a loop before each turn in directions? Please go to my website upcyclestitches.com and then you can type Y loop. That was one of the questions that has been a long time since I received this question, but I used to get it like every time, and it takes a little time to explain that. So I explained that in that. I think I even used the video for that. There's answer on my website upcyclestitches.com, and there's gonna be like a search section, and yeah, Y loop, and then you'll probably get a lot of answers. I will cut most of the loops after I finish. Most of them. Not every, but most of them. Before you finish tonight, will you show the front side? Of course, I can do it right now. Yeah, I can do it. So, I don't know if this looks good on the screen. This is a kind of tricky pattern because this is called Hishi Seigaiha pattern. It's an ocean's wave pattern. So there's a direction, like correct directions. If it's displayed like this, it's kind of wrong. Like it's not really, there's nothing bad, or there's nothing like, they cannot prohibit it, which is the right direction. But this one is not how it's supposed to. This is how it's supposed to. It's more like naturalness, like either I feel comfortable or not. But because of this pattern is the way, this has to be this way. But I often see that people introducing these patterns like this, and they probably don't know the name or even stories behind it. And that's another reason I keep saying, please learn, please learn. Please learn. You like it? That's good. If you like it, that's good. I don't know how much I can jump though. I mean, not a jump, I can cut. Yeah, it has been a long time since I received that question. Why loop? It used to be every time. Oh, I didn't even think about it. But there are reasons for the loops and purpose for the loops and way to handle the loops. That's probably a lost idea too, in some cases. When they make not, this loop is absolutely meaningless. So, and many people do make loops. Not loops, not. When they make not, this loops becomes meaningless. And now probably many Sashiko stitchers use the not, right? Some book even say like they do make not. Well, I don't. And we don't. So, I mean, I can make not. Don't get me wrong, I can make not. But I don't. And there's a reason why I don't. See, like I'm not talking, I don't know what I'm talking about right now. Like, did I say not or loop or not or loop? This pattern is like a killer for that. Just a second. Okay. This time I became a little smarter. This time I did a little smarter, so I don't have to waste some thread. Am I making? No, it's good. Is it good? Yeah, it's good. Yeah, today's live. Sorry, I had a talk in FIT today. I mean, online. It's not like FIT lecture. It's more like a little tiny lectures or discussion online. But when we talk about cultural perspective or traditions, what I have to avoid, what I really like to avoid is the difference between can't and don't. For example, today, today I talked about it, it's a good example. I talked about making not or not making not. Making not making not. In our Sashiko, we don't make not. 95% of the project we do not make not. For example, this project I make 0, right? As you can tell, I make 0 not. And that's how it's supposed to. But at the same time, it does not mean that I cannot make not. I choose not to make not. So that's a very big difference between don't and can. If one can make, if one can choose to not to make not, yes, then that's a choice. And I really appreciate and I really respect that. But if one teaches how to do Sashiko based on that they can do it, that's a little problem. It's not little, it's quite a big problem. This is very not smart. See, like this one is a very good example. Here, I should have done something here. It's a lot of rotation. This is a missing part. In order to fill just this part, I have to stitch, which is lots of missing part. You can tell lots of missing part. That's not ideal. Well, you know, not ideal. Don't do that. One more thread and I will log off today. If you're watching this live streaming as an archive, please, if you have any request for me to talk about, please let me know. I will talk about it next time. You know what, actually, I will stop it here. I'm sorry, probably it's better to go now, as I'm getting a little tired. Or, let's do one more. It's a choice. It's a very, very big choice. I probably should sleep. I probably shouldn't do it, but I think I should do one. Not a should one. I want to do one more. That Sashiko is a time eater, so if you have to work tomorrow, if you have something important tomorrow, don't do that. Don't start at the night. You will find out that it's almost morning by just stitching. It's really, really scary. So the reason I started this one is because I probably can complete the Asanoha patterns with this amount of thread right now. And it's probably better for me to do that right now. Then I won't probably tackle it next time. Tackle it is a nice word. Thank you. I will use that more. Oops. That's not good. Oopsie. Another mistake, but it's okay. It's okay. There's nothing like fatal. It's just a lots of not even stupidity. It's just waste, and waste is not really good in Sashiko. We don't want to be wasting time, effort, thread, fabric. We don't want to waste it. Not only the material, but also like what we have, time, energy, and unfortunately, this live streaming, last 3 or 4 live streaming, I am not doing a good job. Ah, oops. I did not mean that. I hope I did not scratch any lens. Oopsie, sorry. Hope nobody was actually watching this screen. It might be a little scary to see needle coming to the screen. There's nothing special going on here, so please just don't. I mean, you can, of course, watch it, but please bring something that you can stitch or work with your hand so that you don't have to keep watching this. I should be. You saw that? Oopsie. Oh, this is something I shouldn't be doing, but okay. I'm making one mistake. One mistake as the sample. Not a mistake, but one thing that it's not recommended to do. But hey, it's okay to do that. So what is not recommended is the waste. Okay, so if you waste time, thread, energy, fabric, that's not ideal there's no such a thing as right or wrong. Therefore, there's no such a thing as mistakes in theory. But when we happen to waste, then I consider it as a mistake. And the mistake means like it's not a fatal mistake, it's more like something I like to make sure to not to repeat. Like right now. Where did I go? Why am I repeating that? Did it this one, this one? I'm not happy about this result, but it's okay, it's just a sample. This is the first time I have managed to watch a live stream. Very enjoyable to see this in a colored thread. The repeated patterns are very comforting to watch. Thank you so much for coming to watch. No, this is not okay. This is one mistake I will do it. Well, I will be doing the live streaming every Thursday, so I try to almost every Thursday. That'd be great if you can come. And the blog article I mentioned about the while loop will explain the loop itself, but probably it might not explain the big loop I'm leaving here. So I will mention that after I complete everything. This is not something I meant to leave it. But when you were talking about loop, there's answer on my website. I think. Let me know if you don't find it next time. Well, actually, I gotta check after this live stream. It's cool. I make tons of mistakes, Helen. People misunderstand me that I don't make mistakes. I'm not good at this. I mean, I'm teaching. I'm probably good at introducing and teaching, but stitching wise, I'm still not. I cannot say I'm good, because if I do so, my teachers are gonna. I don't think they're gonna get angry, but they're gonna be very passive aggressive. I mean, they're not here anymore. They're gone. You know, they don't live in this world. They are gone. But I can see myself being in trouble if I say that I am good at this. So I'm making mistakes. I mean, I don't want to show mistakes as the result. Because of that, I do the only one patterns on live. When I don't mind making mistakes, when I don't have to show it, I make lots of mistakes. So, as I estimated, this is about 6 hours, 7 hours project. This is the fifth live streaming to do this pattern, so I did not estimate, actually. I estimated 3 hours or 4 hours, but so 5 to 6 hours to complete this whole patterns without mistakes, without the unnecessary waste. Should be done by 5 or so. Next, I have to fill those gaps, and that's gonna take a little more time. But don't do it this way. There gotta be better way to do that. But it's almost done for that. Right, like that. Alright, thank you so much for coming to the live streaming. This live streaming's purpose is to share everything I do without any filter, without any editing. I feel it might be wrong. I might be misunderstanding, but there are so many people who like Sashiko, but they don't stitch. There are so many people who talk about Sashiko, but they don't stitch. There's nothing wrong with them, but at the same time, I believe that the truth and also the answers are always in this stitching. And as much as I'm not the best one, I would like to share that everything I do so that I can be somewhat valid for that. Okay? I will check to see if I can find the reason why I repaired a hole in my jeans a month ago using similar technique. Today, the jeans tore just above the repair. That's what happens. That's not your fault. That's a nature of the mending. Alright, thank you so much. I hope you have a good night, and I will see you next Thursday. Oh, by the way, please go back to the beginning of the live streaming. There's a introduction. There's information about the gathering, Sashiko gathering, so please check that out if you'd like to join that. Alright, ありがとうございました、つちこさん。Alright, thank you so much. Have a good night. Bye bye.